All scripture is God-breathed and is useful for teaching, rebuking, correcting, and training in righteousness. 2 Timothy chapter 3, verse 16. But what if I told you that the Bible contains stories of forbidden relationships, immoral unions between family members, shocking betrayals, and extreme behaviors that would make even the most liberal blush? Stories that pastors never preach, that Sunday school never teaches, that the church hides in shame. Prepare yourself, because you are about to discover the controversial side of the sacred scriptures. This is the portal to the unknown, where we reveal the most disturbing truths they try to hide from you. If you have the courage to know the Bible uncensored, without religious hypocrisy, subscribe to the channel now, activate the bell, and leave your like, because this video is going to be extremely controversial. Share it with those who are tired of religious lies. We are going to reveal everything. Let's get straight to the most controversial point in the Bible. Genesis chapter 19, verses 30 through 38. After the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah, Lot takes refuge in a cave with his 2 daughters. They decide they need to have children with their own father to preserve the lineage. So for 2 consecutive nights, they made Lot drunk with wine and had intimate relations with him while he was unconscious. Both became pregnant by their father. The children born of this forbidden family union were Moab and Ben-Ammi, ancestors of the Moabites and Ammonites. Think about it. This is not a parable, not an allegory. It is a historical narrative presented without explicit moral judgment. 2 daughters committed intimate acts with their own father, became pregnant by him, and their descendants became entire nations. And the Bible records this as fact. Pastors never preach about this. Sunday school teachers skip this chapter. Why? Because it exposes that the Bible contains content more disturbing than any modern production. But this is just the beginning. Genesis chapter 38, the story of Judah and Tamar. Tamar was the widow of 2 of Judah's sons. According to the Levirate law, the 3rd son, Shelah, should marry her, but Judah did not comply. So Tamar disguised herself as a hired woman on the road. Judah hired her services, and she became pregnant by him. When they discovered that Tamar was pregnant, Judah ordered her to be punished with death for immorality. She then revealed that the child's father was Judah himself, using as proof the seal and the staff he had left as payment. Judah acknowledged, "She is more righteous than I." Tamar had twins by Judah, her father-in-law, and one of those twins, Perez, is in the direct ancestral lineage of Jesus Christ. Matthew chapter 1 verse 3 lists Tamar in Jesus' genealogy. The Messiah descends from an intimate relationship between father-in-law and daughter-in-law that involved prostitution and deception. Abraham, the father of faith, father of nations, lied twice, saying his wife Sarah was his sister to save his own skin. Genesis chapter 12 and chapter 20. He allowed foreign kings to take her for their harems. Sarah was indeed taken to Pharaoh's harem and then to Abimelech's harem. Technically, Abraham was half right, Sarah was his half-sister. Genesis chapter 20 verse 12. Besides, she is indeed my sister, the daughter of my father, but not the daughter of my mother. And she became my wife. Abraham married his own half-sister. Forbidden family union. And then offered her up twice to save himself. And God blessed him, made a covenant with him, called him his friend. There is no judgment, no punishment. What does this say about biblical morality? What standards are these? Isaac, Abraham's son, repeated exactly the same trick. Genesis chapter 26, verses 7 through 11. He said Rebekah was his sister to protect himself. The patriarchs literally offered their wives as a survival strategy, and God did not intervene. David, the man after God's own heart, committed adultery with Bathsheba while she was married to Uriah. 2 Samuel chapter 11. David saw her bathing, sent for her, had relations with her, and she became pregnant. To cover it up, David tried to get Uriah to be with his own wife to make it look like the child was his. When Uriah refused out of military honor, David ordered him to be placed on the front line of battle to die. Premeditated murder to cover up adultery. And what was the punishment? 2 Samuel chapter 12 verse 13, Then David said to Nathan, I have sinned against the Lord. Nathan replied to David, The Lord has taken away your sin. You are not going to die. Forgiven just like that, quickly. The son who was born died, but David remained king, remained blessed. David's next son with Bathsheba was Solomon, who became the wisest and richest king in history. Solomon had 700 wives and 300 concubines. 1 Kings chapter 11 verse 3. 1,000 women in the harem. And the Bible does not condemn the harem. It condemns that these foreign women turned his heart to other gods. The problem was not the extreme polygamy, it was the idolatry. Biblical morality accepts multiple wives as long as it is within the right religion. Amnon, David's son, forced his own half-sister Tamar against her will. 2 Samuel chapter 13. He pretended to be sick, asked Tamar to bring him food, and when they were alone, he violated her. After the violation, the Bible says he hated her even more than he had desired her. Tamar begged him to marry her to preserve her honor, but he expelled her. And David, when he found out, was angry but did nothing. He did not punish his aggressor son, Absalom, Tamar's brother, waited 2 years and ordered Amnon eliminated in revenge. And then, in rebellion against David, Absalom pitched a tent on the palace roof and had relations with his father's concubines in the sight of all Israel. 2 Samuel chapter 16 verse 22. Public relations as a political declaration of taking power. And this fulfilled a prophecy that Nathan had made as punishment for David's sin with Bathsheba. David's house was a horror novel. Forbidden relations between siblings, violence, murder, betrayal, public acts, all of this in the family of the man after God's own heart. And these accounts are in the Bible, word for word, uncensored, but they are never preached, never taught, because they are too inconvenient. Leviticus chapter 18 lists detailed prohibitions on intimate relationships. Verse 6, None of you shall approach any female relative of his to uncover her nakedness. Then it specifically lists, you shall not have relations with your mother, your stepmother, your sister, your granddaughter, your aunt, your daughter-in-law, your sister-in-law. Did it have to be so specific because it was happening? Obviously, yes. Verse 22, you shall not lie with a male as with a woman. It is an abomination. Verse 23, you shall not lie with any animal and so defile yourself with it, nor shall any woman stand before an animal to mate with it. It is a perversion. It had to prohibit relations with animals because it was happening. This practice was common enough a problem to require specific law. Deuteronomy chapter 23. Verse 1 says, No one who has been emasculated by crushing or cutting may enter the assembly of the Lord. Castrated men could not enter the temple. Why? Because genital mutilation was common, possibly in pagan religious rituals. Song of Songs, also called Song of Solomon, is explicit romantic poetry. Chapter 4, verse 5, Your two breasts are like two fawns, twins of a gazelle that feed among the lilies. Chapter 7, verses 1 through 3, How beautiful your feet in sandals, O daughter of the prince. The curves of your thighs are like jewels, the work of a master hand. Your navel is a rounded bowl that never lacks blended wine. Your belly is a heap of wheat, encircled with lilies. Your breasts are like two fawns, twins of a gazelle. Sensualized physical descriptions, intense romantic comparisons. Chapter 5, verse 4 uses clearly suggestive language. And this is in the Bible, read in churches, but no one preaches about the literal meaning, always allegorizing it as Christ and the church. Why? Because recognizing that it is explicit romantic poetry would be admitting that the Bible contains sensual content. Ezekiel chapter 23 contains the most graphically sensual allegories in the Bible. Two sisters, Oholah and Oholibah, representing Samaria and Jerusalem, described as prostitutes. Verse 20 uses extremely graphic anatomical language, comparing the physical attributes of lovers. It is making explicit bodily comparisons. This is in the God-inspired Bible. Verse 3, They committed whoredom in Egypt. They committed whoredom in their youth. Their breasts were pressed and their virgin bosoms were handled there. Language of abuse. Verse 8 continues with disturbing descriptions of immorality. Hosea was commanded by God to marry a woman of bad repute. Hosea chapter 1 verse 2. When the Lord first spoke through Hosea, the Lord said to Hosea, "Go, take to yourself a wife of whoredom and have children of whoredom, for the land commits great whoredom by forsaking the Lord." Hosea obeyed. Married Gomer, who remained unfaithful during the marriage. God used this as a metaphor for Israel being unfaithful, but think of the practical reality. A prophet commanded by God to marry a woman of bad repute and raise children who may not be his. Ruth, the Moabitess descendant of Lot's forbidden union, seduced Boaz at night on the threshing floor. Ruth chapter 3 verse 7. When Boaz had eaten and drunk, and his heart was merry, he went to lie down at the end of the heap of grain. Then she came softly, and uncovered his feet, and lay down. Uncovering the feet is a biblical euphemism for private parts. Ruth lay down with the drunken Boaz, and uncovered his private parts. She seduced him to secure marriage. And Ruth is also in Jesus' lineage. Matthew chapter 1 verse 5. Jesus descends from the product of a forbidden family union, from a woman who became pregnant by her father-in-law, from a woman of ill repute in Jericho, and from adultery followed by murder. The Messiah's genealogy is filled with scandals. In the New Testament, 1 Corinthians chapter 5 verse 1, Paul confronts a case of forbidden relationship in the church. It is actually reported that there is sexual immorality among you, and of a kind that even pagans do not tolerate. A man is sleeping with his father's wife. A man was having relations with his stepmother, and the church was doing nothing. Paul orders excommunication. But the fact that it was happening shows that even in the first Christian communities, there was extreme immorality. Revelation chapter 17 describes the whore of Babylon with intense symbolism. Then I saw a woman sitting on a scarlet beast that was covered with blasphemous names and had 7 heads and 10 horns. The woman was dressed in purple and scarlet and was glittering with gold, precious stones and pearls. She held a golden cup in her hand, filled with abominable things and the filth of her adulteries. The story of Shechem and Dinah in Genesis chapter 34 is violence followed by genocide. Shechem violated Dinah, Jacob's daughter. Then he wanted to marry her. Dinah's brothers, pretending to agree, demanded that all the men of the city be circumcised. While they were recovering, Simeon and Levi massacred all the men of the city and looted everything. Genocide as revenge for violation. And Jacob was not outraged by the immorality. He was worried about political consequences. Judges chapter 19 contains the most disturbing story in the Bible. A Levite was staying with his concubine in the city of Gibeah. Perverse men of the city surrounded the house demanding the Levite come out so they could have relations with him. The host offered his virgin daughter and the Levite's concubine. The Levite put his concubine out. The men violated her collectively all night until she died. In the morning, the Levite found her lifeless at the door. He put her body on a donkey, took it home, took a knife, and divided the body into 12 pieces, which he sent to all the tribes of Israel. Read that again. A man handed his concubine over to be violated to death, then divided the corpse and sent the pieces as a political declaration. And this is in the Bible, Judges chapter 19. No pastor preaches about this. No Sunday school teaches it. Because it is too horrible. Because it shows that the Bible contains disturbing narratives that would make horror writers look like amateurs. The consequence was civil war. All the tribes of Israel attacked Benjamin, almost exterminating the entire tribe. Then to give wives to the 600 surviving Benjaminites, the other tribes attacked the city of Jabesh Gilead, eliminated all the non-virgin men and women, and captured 400 virgins for the Benjaminites. It was not enough, so they ordered the remaining 200 Benjaminites to capture virgins during a festival in Shiloh. Judges chapter 21 institutionalized forced capture as a political solution. Deuteronomy chapter 21, verses 10 through 14, regulates how to treat women captured in war. If an Israelite soldier saw a beautiful woman among the captives and desired her, he could take her home, give her a month to mourn her dead family. Then he could marry her and have relations with her. If he later no longer wanted her, he had to set her free. The Bible regulates war capture. It does not prohibit it, it regulates it. Deuteronomy chapter 22, and verses 28 and 29. If a man meets a virgin who is not pledged to be married and rapes her, and they are discovered, he shall pay her father 50 shekels of silver. He must marry the young woman, because he violated her, and he may not divorce her as long as he lives. If a man forces a virgin, he pays a fine to her father and has to marry the victim. The victim is forced to marry the aggressor. This is biblical justice. Numbers chapter 31 reports the war against Midian. Verse 17 and 18, now kill all the boys, and kill every woman who has slept with a man, but save for yourselves every girl who has never slept with a man. Eliminate everyone except virgins, who were to be kept alive for the soldiers. 32,000 virgins were captured. Verse 35, distributed among the soldiers as spoils of war. Moses ordered this, the same Moses who received the 10 Commandments. You shall not kill, you shall not commit adultery, but you may capture virgins in war. The contradiction is glaring. Proverbs has entire chapters warning against immoral women, describing them in detail. Proverbs chapter 7 verses 10 through 23 describes a woman of ill repute seducing a foolish young man. The description is detailed. Her lips, her smooth words, her perfume, her bed covered with Egyptian linen. The biblical obsession with purity contrasts violently with the narratives of extreme impurity of the biblical heroes themselves. Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Judah, David, Solomon, all involved in scandals and all blessed by God. Meanwhile, draconian laws punished common people for minor transgressions. The hypocrisy is monumental. The reality is that the Bible reflects the brutal, patriarchal, and controversial culture of the Bronze Age and Iron Age in the Middle East. It is not a transcendent moral manual for some. It is a historical document that preserves the practices, including the disturbing ones, of ancient peoples. The modern church tries to sanitize it, allegorizing it, skipping inconvenient texts, but it cannot erase what is written. The Bible is not the sanitized book they paint. It is a brutal and honest record of the human condition in all its complexity and imperfection. If this video shocked you, share it now. How many people do you know who need to know the uncensored truth about the scriptures? Tag them in the comments. Leave your like, subscribe to the channel, and activate the bell, because here at the portal to the unknown, we reveal what religion hides. And tell me, did you know these stories? Comment now. Until the next shocking mystery.